When did humans first get drunk? At some point in human history, one brave person looked at a weird bubbling bowl of old fruit, sniffed it, and thought, yeah, I'll drink that. And that might be one of the most important decisions in human history. Because today we're asking a very serious question. When did humans first get drunk? Now, the annoying answer is, we don't know exactly. There probably wasn't one caveman called Gary who invented alcohol on a Tuesday afternoon. It was probably discovered by accident. Imagine early humans gathering fruit. Some berries fall into a hollow tree stump. Rainwater gets in. The sun warms it up. Wild yeast starts doing its tiny, invisible magic. A few days later, the fruit is bubbling, smells strange, and probably looks like something you should absolutely not put near your mouth. But early humans were not known for reading safety labels. So someone tries it, and suddenly the tribe watches as this person goes from serious hunter-gatherer to the first ever guy saying, no, listen, I'm fine, I can still throw the spear. That accidental discovery may have happened long before humans were writing things down. In fact, animals already do this. Some animals eat fermented fruit and get a bit wobbly. So humans may have first noticed that overripe fruit made them feel different. One day it was just food. The next day it was food with consequences. But the first real evidence we have is much later. One of the oldest possible signs of humans making alcohol comes from around 13,000 years ago, at a place called Rakesfet Cave in what is now Israel. Archaeologists found evidence that the Natufian people may have been making a kind of beer from grains. And here's the strange part. This wasn't a modern pub. There were no bar stools, no dartboard, no one named Dave saying, "Same again." This was a cave used for burials, which means one of the oldest known human alcoholic drinks may have been connected to rituals, ceremonies, or remembering the dead. So, alcohol might not have started as a party drink. It might have started as something serious. Which is funny, because thousands of years later, humans would still be using it for both. A wedding, drink. A funeral, drink. A birthday, drink. A Tuesday where the crops failed and Steve got chased by a goat? Apparently also drink. But beer back then was not like the beer people drink today. Ancient beer was probably thick, cloudy, sour, and full of bits. Less ice-cold pint. More strange grain soup that makes you confident. Honestly, the first beer might have looked like someone gave up halfway through making porridge, but to early humans it was probably amazing. Because fermentation did something useful. It could make drinks safer in some situations. It created calories. It preserved food. And most importantly, it made humans feel like dancing near a fire was suddenly a brilliant idea. Then we find more evidence in ancient China. Around 7,000 to 6,600 BCE, people at Jiahu were making a fermented drink from rice, honey, and fruit. That sounds less like a caveman accident and more like an ancient cocktail menu. Rice, honey, fruit, tiny clay cup. Served warm, probably, no umbrella in the drink, but still impressive. This tells us something important. Humans were not just surviving, they were experimenting. They were mixing ingredients. They were creating flavors. They were probably saying things like, "Last batch made everyone sleepy, add more honey." And once humans discovered fermentation, it seems like we kept finding new ways to do it. Grain became beer. Grapes became wine, honey became mead. Basically, if humans found something sugary, we eventually asked, but can it become weird juice? Then around 6,000 BCE in what is now Georgia, archaeologists found evidence of early winemaking. That means wine has been with humans for thousands and thousands of years. Before the pyramids, before the Roman Empire, before written history really gets going. Before someone invented the phrase, "I'm never drinking again." Wine was already there, And this is where the story gets even more interesting. Some researchers have suggested that alcohol may have helped bring people together, not always in a good decision kind of way, but socially. Imagine small, early farming communities. Life is hard. You grow crops. You hunt. You build shelters. You hope winter doesn't ruin everything. Then someone figures out how to make a special drink for gatherings. Suddenly, people have a reason to meet, to trade, to celebrate, to tell stories, to perform rituals, to form bonds, to point at the moon and say, "I think it's following us." Alcohol may have helped create social moments, and humans love social moments. We are basically anxious monkeys who invented group chats. But alcohol might also have helped with one of the biggest changes in history, farming. There's even an idea that humans may have grown grain not just for bread, but also for beer. Think about that. School teaches us farming began because people wanted reliable food. But there's a chance some early humans looked at wild grain and thought, yes, bread is good, but have you considered cave beer? Now we should be careful. It's not as simple as saying beer invented farming, but it does show that food, drink, farming, ritual, and community were all connected. Humans did not become civilized in one clean step. It was messy. It was experimental. It probably smelled strange. And somebody definitely spilled something. So, when did humans first get drunk? The truthful answer is probably before we have clear evidence. Maybe from fermented fruit by accident, possibly long before farming. But the oldest strong archaeological clues show humans were making alcoholic drinks thousands of years before cities, empires, or supermarkets existed. And that makes alcohol one of humanity's oldest inventions, or maybe one of humanity's oldest accidents. Because somewhere, a very early human probably drank fermented fruit, stood up too quickly, looked at the rest of the tribe and said, "I have discovered something powerful." Then immediately fell over, and the tribe had two choices: ban the weird fruit forever, or make more. Obviously, they made more. And that's how humans went from hunter-gatherers to hunter-gatherers with questionable weekend plans. So the next time someone talks about ancient history like it's boring, remember this. Some of the earliest humans were not just painting caves and hunting mammoths. They were also accidentally inventing drinks, gathering around fires, holding ceremonies, and possibly becoming the first people in history to say, "Who moved the cave?" History isn't just kings, wars, and dusty old dates. Sometimes history is a bowl of old fruit, a curious human, and one extremely bad decision that somehow became civilization. And that's the story in simple terms. Tiny stickman, big questions. If this made things clearer or made you think for a second, then hit like, subscribe, and come back for the next explanation. Because there's always another strange, fascinating, or surprisingly important story waiting to be explained. See you in the next one.